Now, you've consistently called for deregulation now, and this is not new in the economic vocabulary, especially in the oil sector. And why is the federal government foot dragging on deregulating the oil sector?
They lack the political will to do it. We have deregulated diesel, and it's working perfectly well. That's why you don't have shortages. Today you buy at 150, at another time it will be edging to 200 or 200 and something. So this is the same thing that we want that should happen with PMS and possibly kerosene.
So in the immediate term now, what should we be doing? What's the way out of all this crisis, the fuel scarcity?
What should be done is for government to just one day wake up and say that the thing is deregulated and then there is no fixed pump price. I know that will be huge and cry here and there. But that's the only way out, because even at 145, a great section of these countries, apart from the major cities, you can't get them at that price. At the best of times, they say. And then government is also doing what they call bridging. They pay bridging for some of these, but the people don't get the benefit of it. So it's just like encouraging corruption.
But the federal government has been alleging that this fuel scarcity is not real, that it's artificial, and it has also accused petroleum marketers of diversion of some of these petroleum products to neighboring countries. Do you think this argument holds water?
I think this is propaganda. You know, this is, I mean, you can't hold anybody to it. We all know that something that you buy at less than $40, that sells for less than $40, that's the crude oil, now sells at 70. And usually in that industry, they buy forward. The price, you adjust your price quickly when the thing is changing. We know that that is just political statement. They cannot hold it, and that's why they have not been able to prosecute anybody. If it was true, they would have arrested and prosecuted people.
But let's look at the CBN intervention in all this. It has created a flexible forex policy for petroleum marketers, which one would want to say is favorable for business to thrive, because they are getting this forex at a lower rate than the ordinary Nigerians out there.
That still does not solve their problem. The problem here is, yes, I get foreign exchange. I buy at a cheaper rate. Yes, but then I sell below my landed cost. How does that compensate me? I sell below my landed cost. It lands at 160, and you want me to sell at 145. How am I compensated? Somebody has to pick that bill before I go back to that business or do that business. And that's exactly what is happening now. And even in Lagos, there are some places where they sell direct from the pump at 170. I bought at 170 along Lagos-Badagry Expressway.
Now, let's look at the federal government's intervention in the economy, the economic recovery and growth plan of the federal government. How do you see this strategy as a bailout strategy for the Nigerian economy?
Yeah, I think they have made attempts, and so they are very beautiful plans, and it should have had the positive impact that one expects. But if you don't get it right politically, there will always be this talk of saboteurs. There will be people who don't believe even in what the government is doing. Take, for instance, when you look at the agric today, and that's why you have foreigners keying into some of these things than Nigerians. You have people from Asia keying into some of these things. They are putting up big farms. They are producing. They are into manufacturing. Because the average Nigerian does not even believe so much in the system, in the economy. The plans are good, they are beautiful, but the execution is very, very key. The other time they said there were a lot of containers, over 1,000 containers, several thousand of containers at the port. That has been there, according to the Minister for Power announcing, which have been there for years that were not clear. And we are talking about power. They were supposed to have been installed in different plants using them, but they were not cleared, and we are all talking. So one thing is to have the idea. The other is implementation and the acceptability by the people. What is lacking is we are not implementing very well. People don't even have faith in the system. People don't even have faith because people are not, they don't believe that they are not carried along as Nigerians. So we need to actually have faith in this system as Nigerians.
In all of this, one would say that the federal government is making a bold statement on its intervention, but it's not having a direct impact on Nigerians? Take, for instance, the unemployment market is over 14% now. So people are losing jobs daily. So what's responsible for this?
Implementation and certain key things that you have to identify. Infrastructural, if you don't get the infrastructure right, where the small and medium scale enterprises can produce, we will not get it right. If you get the produce in the farm and you don't have good roads to move them to the cities, it will not materialize. A lot of people will be out of job. If the life in the rural area is not conducive, everybody will rush to the urban area, which is what we have. There could be jobs lying down there, back in the rural area, but everybody wants to be in the city. In the city, there is no power for the industry to work. The roads are not there. Look at Apapa, for instance. A lot of inability of people to get into Apapa to pick up things. I mean, imported items too could affect production, could affect businesses.
Some experts have also said that the way forward to develop Nigeria's economy is to develop the SMEs. We have about 37 million SMEs in this country, unregistered in this country. So how can we create a thriving atmosphere for these SMEs?
The government have done one thing, I hope they will see it through the credit register, where you can now collateralize assets of the company. I think this will help the SMEs, because in the past, the funds are created, but when they approach the funding agency, the banks, they will say it's not bankable because they don't have collateral. But now that you can collateralize your vehicle, you can collateralize your plant and machinery, you can use them, I think that might help in a way. That is access to funding. But then power is also there. Unless we also make this power easy for them, accessible for them to use, they may not be able to produce, because when you are spending like 25% and we are talking deregulation now, some of them don't use diesel. Maybe they use all these PMS to drive their generators and all that. That also will impact. So we need to get power, right? They need to have access to funding, because even if they have access to funding and they cannot, power is not right, they may not be able to pay back the loan, whatever loan they have taken.
But a quick one, is the federal government getting it right in its power sector reform?
Yes, we are getting it right, but then the concern I have personally is a lot of people are talking of generating. It's not the problem of generating that we have presently. It's more of transmission and distribution.
And there's this issue of prepaid meters that is causing serious embarrassment to the federal government now. Even the federal government initially said that it's free, but what is free when it's not even accessible? Yeah, so I think the federal government should deal with the issue of accessibility first.
Well, that's why I said it's distribution that is the problem. The meter, at the time, they said should be given free. And I'm sure people are ready to even pay for it. But for some strange reasons, and it's also strange to me that the distribution companies are not even eager to use this meter, because having meters is a source of money up front. I mean, you collect your money before people even consume. And that one should have thought it was an advantage. So I think, like government have done now, they are trying to take that off the distribution companies. They are trying to get private, independent companies to do metering, to meter the people, and then this other. And I think if they can see that through, that will have actually solved that problem.
Before we wind down now, let's look at the budgets for 2018. Now, because the whole economic plan is hinged on the budget. Does this appear to you as a game changer? Does this appear to you as an effective working document? Does this appear to you as a winning template?
You know, we've been in this for a very long time. You know, when we have a budget, for instance, we don't have a budget at this time. This is January. And it's not likely we are going to have another one, because the process where we are now will take at least another 1 month. So the earliest time we have a budget now is maybe early March. And then when you have budget too, people now have to apply. There is a process By the time we do all that, maybe we're in April, and politicking will start. The politicians will not. So I cannot see how we are going to achieve anything more than we are going to do a lot of politicking.
Let me also take you up on the procurement system now, because there have been a lot of complaints about the Nigeria's procurement system, saying that it's too weak, and specifically, they've also said that many of these projects are overinflated. So what do you think can be done to Nigeria's procurement system?
The only way out is government should not be in business. Government should create an enabling environment. Let the private sector drive businesses. Let the private sector take charge of a lot of projects. Just create enabling environment so that you can have some measure of accountability. Government should actually get itself out of some of these and allow the private sector to drive it.
We are now in 2018 now, and I would like to find out, as a matter of urgency, what should the federal government be doing? What should Nigerians be doing at this point as a matter of urgency?
We need to look at what level do we want government to do things. We need to also have timelines to certain things that we do. When should budget be submitted? When should it be discussed? When should it be assented to? These are things that we should do. So if restructuring is that sort of a thing, I think that's what we need to do now.
The president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Babatunde Ruwase, thank you so much for making our time to be part of this episode of Question Time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And that's it on this episode of Question Time from Channels Television. What's your take on President Muhammadu Buhari's performance since he took over office? Send us your comments on our social media platforms. Join us next week on another fresh episode of the show. Many thanks for watching. I'm Benga Ashuru. Bye for now.